Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to podcast. It's Sunday, Series Sunday, the day of the week where we talk all about one series and one series only, if I can use my words correctly.
For your listening pleasure or displeasure,
it
varies from week to week. It is up to you.
How many up jokes will we be able to
How many
fit
times can we
into
say
this?
up to you?
So many times.
How do you use poom pat naturally in a sentence?
I don't poom pat. No, I don't know. I feel like, again, it's up to you. Okay, we're talking step by step.
We are.
This is gonna be so fun.
Listen, this was a fantastic show. I was on board with step by step from the jump.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm really excited about this.
We're getting the Office BLs now. It's been fun this year. We've gotten the grown-ups in the Office. Listen, nothing will top Bed Friends, but this came close. Nuts and bolts.
The details.
It's 12 episodes. It's on YouTube. It's also uncut on Gaga Ooh La La.
I did not know it was available uncut. I just watched it full out on YouTube. It was a good experience for me.
You're missing out.
Listen, we all have preferences.
It was produced by D Hup House. Shout out, lovely writer. We got some sweet little lovely writer winks in Putt's little house. I don't know what it was, like a vacation home. Anyways, it had a lovely writer poster on the wall. D Hup House, I feel like always it has a very specific style in that they always love to do like a nod to the BL of it all. They like to push
They
push
always
the
kind
envelope.
they always kind of like kick that fourth wall a little bit.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then this director, he directed Tarn-Type. He directed Hidden Agenda. He's directed
/ is currently. Are they done filming Hidden Agenda? Did they film it all the way through? Unclear.
And then of course he did Lovely Writer.
Yes. Good
times. It stars as Jeng, man,
the biggest troublemaker in all of Thailand.
Lord have mercy. Go watch our interview.
Go watch our interview.
And then Pat as Ben, which, oh my God.
No, Ben as Pat.
Sorry. Ben as Pat. I can't wait to talk about Ben because dang, for this to be his first job, killed it.
God, and he was so nonchalant in our interview. He was like, I don't know. I just like try it out. And then I got it.
I was introverted, so I thought I'd like try something different.
It was fun. It was great. It was fun. It was fresh. I was like, oh my God.
That 21-year-old confidence.
And you can see me in the interview. He's like, and then I was like, maybe it'll be okay. And then it was okay. The way he said, and I lose it. I like, you see me melt down in the interview.
Cutest little boy I've ever seen.
It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. And he's also the cutest thing I ever saw in this whole show. Everything about it is great.
Seriously.
Okay. Synopsis time.
Yes. Let's hear it.
Jeng is a fierce digital marketing manager despised by his subordinates in the company. As the son of the owner, there's little he can do about it. Pat studied abroad in LA before coming to work as an enthusiastic new member of the team. Jeng develops a secret fondness for his new subordinate, but in this position, he has to be particularly strict and picky with Pat. It comes to a point where Pat decides to submit his resignation, sparking a reform in the workplace. Decent.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I feel like they did some good English in this.
Yes.
They used some good English. I always love to see the use of English in these shows.
Yeah.
We had like full Thai people speaking English. It wasn't like a weird random white dude.
I know.
And the girl that they got to play, I think she was a CEO of another company. She played the manager in War of Y. And she's really cool. She is like a model. I like looked into her because I was like kind of obsessed with the two that played the manager for Gung and Korn. And she I forget exactly like what her ethnicities are. But she's really cool. But she's a fashion model and she does all these things and she's like started acting and she's really cool. So you should go look into her.
I love it.
But yes, she's also clearly fluent in English.
Yeah.
And Ben and Man are definitely fluent in English.
Ben and Man are very fluent. Man is too fluent in English. Somebody needs to rein him in.
Don't tell him that you know Thai because he'll attack you with it.
He will tease you. Listen, I did not learn the word soy to be treated this way. Thank y'all. Anyways, moving on.
Okay.
This show, I really liked. I have some, like, constructive critique, constructive criticism.
Gun.
But in the world of office dramas, this is my favorite. I will say, I really like this. From the first few episodes, I was, like, really into it really quickly. And I think part of the fact is that, like, man is an actual grown-up playing an actual grown-up.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very refreshing take on, like, because we have lots of BLs where, like, there's one BL out right now that, like, we were like, ooh, it's interesting that they're given that the two leads are given the same age gap in the show as they have in real life, which is a relatively large age gap. It's 5 years. But they age both of them up. Yeah. And so, like, this boy who, I mean, listen, he's an adult, but, like, they make him like a 30-year-old and he's nowhere near 30 years old, right? And so, like, it's nice to see an actual adult playing an adult. Yeah. Like, I like it. I'm into it. Kind of like Kun and Kiak from The Promise, although that show had its own set of issues.
Lord of mercy. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It was fun to see an actual grown-up and to see the dynamic of what that looks like as an actual grown-up falls in love and struggles with, like, the workplace dynamic.
Right. That's the thing I think that I like the most about it, because I'm the one that always goes on and on about, like, the power dynamics. It's weird. Yeah. And, like, the fact that there was, like, an acknowledged struggle with the power dynamic of it all, it was like, okay, yes, like, if we're gonna have this as an aspect of a show, let's at least admit that it's
it's
thing.
Weird. Yeah, and they constantly do. I do love the natural chemistry between Man and Ben, but also the natural chemistry between Ben and literally every human that exists in the world.
Ben existing through life. It's just like,
I mean, an angel child. But yeah, I feel like I liked the dynamic of them each kind of having their journey with the other without really involving the other.
Right. That's what they were real people.
So interesting.
Oh my God, it was
watch.
so cool. I love this show. Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch.
Interesting. Because, like, they're real people with real interests and real lives outside of their relationship and their dynamic, which is something that I will say D-Hub House does well, because they did the same thing in Lovely Writer, right? Like, they both of the leads in Lovely Writer, those characters had, like, other stuff going on and real personalities that didn't just depend on their
romantic
couple.
Yeah.
On their couple pairing.
I will say, the one problem that I had with Pat was that his trauma was only that he had a bad first boyfriend.
Listen,
I was like, why are we being so dramatic about, I mean, listen.
Who are you to judge someone's trauma, ma'am?
Up also broke my heart.
Ma'am. I was traumatized by Up Poom Pat too. Raise your hand if you have ever been personally victimized by Up Poom Pat. Thank you.
I even own his merch.
Okay, yeah. In fact, I purchased this
at
the place that I was personally victimized. So, like, listen.
Speaking of,
who among us has not been victimized by Up Poom Pat?
Let's talk about the putt of it all. First of all, love that ship name, Putt Pat.
Putt Pat. It was very cute.
Pat
Putt.
Putt Putt.
Oh my God! If they ever got engaged, they would have to, like, do the engagement shoot at like putt putt at like mini golf, and those would be the cutest photos ever. First of all,
yes. But yeah, their relationship was interesting. It was so funny because rarely do we get a side story where the side couple, like the love rival, actually kisses the lead. And I was like, I think they're gonna kiss. I know they're gonna kiss, and I don't want to see them kiss. This is weird. It was such a funny. I do love Up as an actor, but it's so funny because he's just so up now to me. Like, I see Up as Up, not as Putt. He killed this character, I would agree, but, like, it was just so interesting watching him play this character.
But you know what? I like that they were allowed to kiss. Let him kiss. Kiss all the boys in every series ever. I'm
that
here for
dynamic
it.
was interesting. The fact that, like, they'd gotten back together and then, like, he couldn't get it up, so he was like,
listen, who are you to judge someone else's trauma?
I was wondering when Pat was gonna realize that, like, he really felt real feelings for Jang.
For Jang. Yeah, I think that's where my one criticism comes in.
Same.
Is I do love a slow burn. At times the show it burned too slow. It was too slow. Sometimes it needs to burn. Like sometimes you gotta have the fire.
Yeah.
Like you gotta get the spark. Like if you're gonna slow burn it, it's gotta eventually get to the burn.
I will say real quick, the chemistry between these two, and we talk about this a lot because we had a few conversations with people where people are like, does it need to be spicy? Does every show need to be spicy? And no, the chemistry between these characters was interesting enough that like I didn't need them to make out. They can make out in the last episode. I'm cool with that. But yeah, I agree. We needed more moments of them like looking wistfully at each other.
Well, when I say burn, like when I say like you can keep it slow, but it needs to eventually burn, what I mean is like resolution or like confession or like some sort of like acknowledgement or like noticing that
Pat's inner conflict made no sense.
Like you need to have the like connection between the two characters fully realized by both characters. Eventually, right? Like slow burn it out for sure, but like gotta get to that burn, and that burn doesn't mean they're like banging.
No,
it just means it could be many things. It could mean there's a confession scene, a la La Pluie, which in my opinion has the best confession scene in BL. I said what I said.
Yeah. Agree.
Or it could mean kind of like a wistful stare, or like listen, not to bring it back to You're My Sky, Jude My Katong Fa, and like. I really low-key hate myself for this, but like...
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The Dome V was a really good slow burn.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, it was a slow burn. Will they, won't they? Maybe they like each other. Unclear,
the
not.
Trauma.
Right? Now, they did eventually kiss, but that's really all they got to was, like, a kiss and a hug and a kiss.
A hug and a kiss?
Like, doom.
Oh, God. How dare.
Like, and so, like, that's what it can be. But, like, you gotta, like, something's gotta light on fire eventually. Like.
Yeah, when Pat is going through that inner turmoil where he's like, I don't understand why he likes me. I'm not good enough. Because, like, Pat, it was like love at first sight for Pat, right? Like
for Jang.
No, for Pat.
Oh, for Pat, right.
Right, because he was, like, crushing on this, like, hot dude that he saw.
I mean, Big Daddy. Shout out Eileen.
Yeah. But then I think he, like, put that in the back of his head where he was like, he's my boss. Like, I can't have feelings for him.
It's almost like a celebrity. I saw it as almost like a celebrity crush. He almost, like, it's almost like where, like, you, like, your fave or whatever, and then, like, you get the high touch, like, if you're a K-pop stan, right? Yeah. And then you're, like, you get there and you're, like.
Now when you're a BL fan, you get a high touch.
Right, sure, yeah. I was just thinking, like, no BL boys have come to America yet, right? But, like, ostensibly, if you're a K-pop stan, you've gotten to do a high touch with your fave, maybe. Or even, like, I don't know, someone more accessible, like, I don't listen to white people music anymore. What, like,
there's no
fan events for, like, a Taylor Swift?
I mean, she holds fan events where she'll have, like, listening parties at her house for, like, fans.
So, like, maybe it's like that. Basically what I'm getting at is, like, you have a celebrity crush on your fave,
you can still meet people backstage sometimes.
Yeah, so, like, I almost saw his dynamic with Jang in the beginning was like a celebrity crush of, like, where he kind of compartmentalized Jang of, like,
that makes
this
sense.
hot boy that I have a crush on, but also he's the separate person that I have to deal with professionally, right? Where it's like the celebrity crush part wasn't really fully connected to this real person.
Yeah,
it was
that
just
makes
like,
sense.
oh, cute is kind of how I saw it at first.
Yeah, and that whole night that, like, they are hanging out where Jang has, like, asked him to go look at, like, restaurants, and then they end up at that club, which shout out Green. That was the most awkward interaction I've ever seen in my life. I love Green so much, but that needed to be workshopped more. That was so awkward. That hug, everything about that. Those two men have never banged in their entire life. I'm sorry, but you cannot tell me that is your ex-boyfriend. Not a chance.
Listen, who are you to judge someone's level of physical intimacy with their partner?
It doesn't have to be physical intimacy. It's like, you know what I'm saying. They might as well shook hands.
High-fived. So, you know, potentially.
That was I think Green maybe was actually drunk when they shot that scene, because the way that he falls into him, it's so funny. I was like, I need this to be over. Like, I love a Green cameo, but please. I feel like
I did have to like, because I'm so bad about when there's like an awkward moment on screen. I like literally can't watch it. I have to pause it a million times. I will say I did pause that a lot. There was a lot of like pausing and like.
I feel like Man and Green literally met seconds before that scene started, because that happens.
Maybe
sometimes.
that does happen. Yeah.
So I feel like they like shook hands and they were like, okay, we're gonna play ex-boyfriend. It killed me. It killed me.
Although that doesn't make sense because I don't know. A man could flirt with a wall, and you'd be like,
true, but I don't know. I mean, never mind.
And the wall would turn beet red. Like I don't know. Like,
anyways, but that whole day, like, where was I going with that? I don't even remember.
Something about the club and
oh
when he asked him to go to the restaurant.
So Pat, like, the same thing where he was probably like, "Oh, Jeng is just like, we're just hanging out." Like he couldn't. There was no way you would think like, "Oh, I'm gonna spend all day with my fave." There's no way this is more, unless you're a crazy person,
right? And so like, right, and so
yeah.
I'm gonna start crying. I'm triggered. So, like, I guess what I'll say about that is we've all had those experiences in real life too, for the most part, of like not with your favorite or whatever, but like I don't know, think about like in high school or whatever, if you'd be hanging out with someone, like you don't, because you're into them, you don't think they're into you.
Right.
And then other people see you and they're like, no, obviously he's into you. And you're like, what are you talking about? We were just hanging out.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was like that kind of situation.
So, yeah, I will say the story got a little clunky around the confession of it all.
Yeah.
Where I was like, but that's the age too, I think. I think the idea of like a 30-something saying to a 21-year-old, I like you, or maybe I don't know, maybe he's like 23 in the show.
Chob. Guchomung.
Like, I like you. I think, I mean, I guess it would be a little clunky because he's like, wait, what? I will say, as much as Ben cried in this show, I was never put off by it.
I love a good cry boy.
I thought he did
Give
a great
me all
job.
the crying boys. I'm never put off by any boy that cries. Not even Bilkin.
Ugh. It's so wet. But
I love a good cry scene, so I was living.
Overall, I think Man and Ben did a great job with these characters. I remember when they were first casting for this show, because it was back when I was still really into Cow Up and they were doing their
I remember the announcement of this now that you say that.
They were doing a lot of stuff with that little vlog that Cow Up were doing a lot. And they
when they were like little buddies.
Yeah. Or Up, potentially, I think Up went to, because Up also has his own vlog, like his individual vlog, and he went to their fitting, I want to say. And I remember seeing them and being like, huh. I like wasn't initially captured by it, but I was like, okay.
Me neither. I remember thinking, ooh, I should go back in my texts. I'm sure we texted about this to see if I can find, because I feel like I was like, oh, this, like, that's a cute boy. I guess I'd watch this, right? Like, because I remember when this was coming out, we all thought it was going to be a Cow Up vehicle, because the way that it was announced before it was cast, it kind of seemed like it was a Cow Up vehicle. And then I remember the posters came out and everybody's like, are they reshipping Up? Like, everyone had so many questions. Like, no one understood what was going on.
When
and
people
like,
were like, Up is going to play the ex-boyfriend, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, then I was like, what? Yeah, it was like a lot of like question marks. And so this is one that I kind of feel like is similar to Cutie Pie in that it had like a lot of anticipation and lead up and like conversation around it. I remember people talking about this show nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been quite a journey.
Yeah. I was captivated from the first episode. I was super into it.
Okay.
I really liked it.
Real quick, the side story I thought was really funny. Everyone was so pissed because it got no resolution. The thing that I find really funny is,
isn't this Bruce's life in every show though? So
not Bruce.
Not Bruce.
I'm talking about Saint or Jab and Jane.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought it was really funny because Jane's his like ex-boyfriend, the guy that he was hanging out with, who was played by Jab.
Right.
I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
Because he was like dating a character. The actor was named Job, but then he was like that whole storyline was very clunky too.
Yeah, I trauma blocked that out because I was like, I don't.
There was no
this
resolution.
was a situation where I was like, I don't understand why this is included. Like, why are we?
Do you think we'll get a special episode? Because they do special episodes.
They do special episodes.
Tar and Tight.
Also,
Lovely Writer.
The Lovely Writer special episode was outstanding.
It was incredible.
I loved that episode so much.
I feel like people have revolted enough. They should give
maybe
Job and Jane a storyline in the. Was there a side couple in Lovely Writer?
Yes, kind of. Kind of.
It was side couple.
Kind of. It was. Oh my God! Remember, it was Bruce and Chap.
Oh right.
Yes. So like, kind of.
D-Hub House. We have some notes for your side couples.
Yeah.
That makes no sense and get no resolution. Dang, we got more.
That kiss was one of the best kisses in BL though. So listen,
it's true. I guess we did level up where we got like more than like 3 scenes with the side couple.
3 like random scenes where you're questioning, you don't understand why you're supposed to care, but then they kiss and so you care. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, so yes, going back to Bruce, I loved this character for Bruce. Do you know what I love the most about this? They address it at the very beginning of the show where Bruce says something and Pat is like, "Oh, you're gay." And I love the recognition of this because we don't talk about this enough, that in Thailand, there's a very specific, and that I guess that happens here too, but like in gay culture, there's a very specific way of people talking.
Yes, and it's very hard to pick up upon if you don't speak Thai, and if you have never had a Thai person explain it to you. Like, this has been something that we've learned very, very slowly through multiple Thai people teaching us about. Like, it is a very specific cultural kind of aspect that is so unique, and it's very complex, and it's very specific,
and it was really cool that they like used that in the show. I mean, if Bruce said more than 2 words, or if Chot said more than 2 words, like, you'd know, but like it was interesting that they used vocabulary to be like, oh, you like boys,
right? And you see this it's interesting because they like confront it head on in Filipino BLs, because you know Filipinos have like a similar in Tagalog, and we've had the conversation about specific words with like different Filipinos, like on the show. In fact, like if you go back to season 2 and season 1, when we talk about Game Boys, or season 2, you know, and so like it's always, you're right, confronted head on is like, remember like in Game Boys the movie, spoiler if you have not seen this, although there's no way for you to go see it, so sorry.
And I'm trying to remember
if you're
somewhere.
US based, but there's literally where he uses a specific phrase and his aunt is like, don't say that, people are gonna think you're gay. It's like confronted head on that is like gay lingo in the Philippines, and every Filipino BL I've seen, so they like confront it head on, and like it is a very interesting aspect of the Thai language that you're right, nobody really talks about,
especially in BL. I love that we finally get Mark as a gay, because Mark always plays the straight side couple. The fun little Dumundi crossover in this show was interesting, because we got a Poppy, we got a Mark. Very curious.
Poppy's and everything always though. So
I liked Mark as Bruce's boyfriend in this. I also love their like full circle moment where he's like, I'm gonna tell my family and we can get married.
Yeah,
they were so cute. Also, speaking of Poppy, he played the quirky boyfriend. Of which was funny.
Speaking of Poppy, he played the quirky as just like every role Poppy does. Speaking of Poppy, he played the quirky ...
I really liked all the side characters in this show. There were so many characters, and I think that's an interesting part about these D-Hub House productions too, is there are a lot of characters that you like get a lot of development for, and like I don't think it's totally necessary.
Sometimes it is though. Like sometimes, like for example, Poppy in Lovely Writer was one of my favorite characters. I think it depends on the people who are watching it, right? Like, I think that's one of the nice things about having so many characters is different characters will stick with different people. Because, like you always forget that Poppy was in Lovely Writer. Always. He is one of my favorite characters.
And I love Lovely Writer.
And so, like, but also, like, the dad in Lovely Writer is
Yeah.
a super interesting character that got great development that, like, he sticks with you if he sticks with you. And same thing with, like, Chap's character. He sticks with you if he sticks with you. And I think it's the same for Step by Step, where, like, all of these characters, like, and, right, like, all of the, like, they stick with you if they stick with you. But if they don't, it wasn't so distracting that it took away from the story.
Yeah. One of the characters, however, that was very conflicting was Ying. This girl. The, like...
Yeah.
It's funny because they ended up kind of taking her character on a journey to, like, her actual real life, which, like, she's a BL reactor. I don't know her full story. I, like, don't know who she is as a real person. But in the show, you're like, is she a bad guy? Like,
right. That, like, it's definitely a,
you're unsure.
Is she a villain? Is she not a villain? I
like,
hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Let me question it for, like, 5 minutes and then tell me if they're a villain or not. Like, that's
Because
my preference.
She, like, stands up for him when he's being made fun of for, like, potentially being gay. And then she, like, squashes any type of speculation that, like, Jeng and Pat are together. So, like, she does good things, but, like, you're not really sure
what the motivation is.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I really loved, I didn't write it down, but I totally forgot. I really loved the girl that, like, people ship Pat with at the beginning.
Oh.
She was so cute. She played a fun little supportive side character. But yeah, overall, I did really like this show.
I loved this show. I thought it was great. My only criticism is it sometimes burned too slow. But, like, I've seen worse.
I felt like they didn't. I felt like they didn't tie it up smoothly.
Maybe they're leaving it open for, like, a great special ep.
I mean, D-Hub House can do a special ep. Shout out.
And Man and Ben are still, like, promoting.
Yeah. Well,
which
they
is
have
usually, like,
potentially fingers crossed. They had to delay, or they booked the, like, final episode viewing, like, 2 weeks after the, like, special ep or the final ep in cinemas. Maybe they're going to announce the special ep at the final ep.
Because it's next weekend, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's next weekend.
Like, this coming.
It's the 22nd.
Yeah.
So it's the weekend that this series Sunday airs.
Yes. So, like, this weekend.
This weekend. If you're listening to this as it aired,
yes,
it's either about to be announced or has been announced.
So,
potentially.
So fingers crossed that, like, that's what they'll do. I wish I could remember how they announced the Lovely Writer special episode.
I can't remember, but I remember when it was announced and I was so hype on it.
Didn't
and I was
it
so
take
excited.
a minute to make too?
It was long. It was like there was a long break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also COVID, but, like, I don't remember.
But they also traveled for it. Remember, it was at the beach, and they, like, there was a lot to it.
Did we get We did. We got a Bang San Beach frolic.
Yes, there's a beach frolic at Bangsan.
Bangsan.
They did not buy Rong Hai Ti Bangsan.
They did not.
Which means go to cry at Bangsan.
Technically, Pat did.
That is
Pat
true.
did cry.
He did buy Rong Hai Ti Bangsan. I love that for him.
We went to the aquarium that they went to.
We did.
In the show. They made that aquarium look real nice.
They did. Listen. Feel free to watch our vlog coming out in a couple week and a half. As of the time that this airs. You make your judgment.
Listen, we weren't there to see the fish, let's be honest.
No. We were there to watch boys be cute looking at fish.
And they did the thing.
They were real hype on those jellyfish.
They were.
They were hype on the jellyfish and hype on the clownfish. And I was hype on them.
It's so true. Was there anything else? I hope we get a special ep.
I do hope we get a special ep. I hadn't thought of that because I typically don't love special eps. I kind of feel like they're unnecessary some of the time.
Yeah.
But for this one, I do hope we get a special ep.
If anything, for the side couple.
Yeah, sure.
What if we get Bruce and Mark getting married? What if we get their wedding?
That would be cute, actually. Well, although, I don't know. I'm kind of over weddings and special episodes.
That would be fun. Listen, everyone loves a gay wedding.
Yeah.
It'd be cute.
I just feel like it's easy.
I'm
No,
sure
I expect more of D-Hub House after that Lovely Writer special ep.
I want to go rewatch that Lovely Writer special episode now. That was incredible.
I expect more. That was fantastic.
It was so good. Okay. This has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.